Welcome to the official podcast of Joey's Song. You know, at Joey's Song, we have one mission: raise as much money as we can so that research into finding treatments and cures for epilepsy can get the funding it needs. We would love your support. If you can subscribe and leave a review of this podcast, it will help more than you could ever know. If you have a couple extra mouse clicks left in you, go to YouTube and our YouTube channel, Joey's Song, and subscribe. There. In less than 2 minutes, with a couple of mouse clicks, you will have made it easier for others to find us and help spread the word. Now, if you want to do a bit more, head over to joeysong.org, consider buying a show ticket or some merch, or even making a donation. Thanks. You know, we'll beat this disease, and together we'll have some fun doing it as well. Join us. All right, let's do this. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of LINERnotes. I know you have all been sitting by your phones waiting for the notification to come in. Well, hallelujah, it is here. It's LINERnotes. I'm Mike Mall, and the fella over there is
Andy McNamara.
There we go. Andy's up. Yep. Andy's up in Appleton. I'm down in Sun Prairie. We got the state covered. We just need somebody over in like La Crosse to even us out, but we can figure that out. Well, maybe Butch will be in Viroqua soon. We'll get him. There you go. That's a good one. We should get him to join the podcast. We should do that. He can do his top 10 songs Butch Vig ever produced. Oh, that'd be a good topic.
That would be a great topic.
That
should be the next topic.
All right. Taking notes. We'll get him together. So what is today's topic, Andy? You came up with it.
Yeah, today's topic is cover songs, which...
So is this songs about betting? Is that what we're doing?
A cover song, if people aren't aware, is a song that is recorded by an artist and then re-recorded by a different artist. Some are re-recorded years later. Some are re-recorded 20 years later. Normally, a cover song can either follow the original version pretty closely, or it can even change the genre of the song completely and make it something completely different, which how do you feel about cover songs typically, Mike?
Love them. I think they do so many things. First of all, you can tell a lot about the artist by the songs they choose to cover, right? I love that. I mean, it just like anything else in music, there's good, there's bad. Some people do it well, but a well-chosen, effused cover by somebody, both that's recorded and then done live. The other thing I love is when, you get on the internet after some big event. I remember after Prince had passed away, Springsteen did a cover of Purple Rain, and of course everybody had their phones out, and it was amazing. So I think covers are great. I have no problem with it. Now, when they're done poorly, just like anything else, it makes me want to put my head through a plate glass window. But otherwise, it's good. I'm a big fan. You?
I like covers too. There are some covers that I'm not a huge fan of, and I think that's more of the case of if I was a fan of the band originally, and I feel like the cover is not up to the original standard. But I also have got mixed emotions on artists that release full albums of cover songs.
Oh, don't tell Weezer.
I think like one or two covers sprinkled throughout a discography is good, but as an example, Guns N' Roses, The Spaghetti Incident, that came out, I think, in the early 90s, had a couple good tracks, a lot of different genres. But the further removed I am from that album, I can appreciate the fact that they drew attention to a lot of smaller bands on that album and some small punk bands. And that's got to be a nice paycheck for the songwriters too. So it's kind of good.
Yeah. You bring up a really good point too, which is the covers that you choose, who they are. Like, not many people cover the Beatles because, you're not going to try to recreate the Mona Lisa on a lot of that stuff. I mean, you know what I mean? Or if you choose, a Chestnut or a B-side or an album track, and I'm looking at those on my lists here, and a little bit of both, right? And so that's the other thing too. If you pick, or you cover some really, like I think of people that cover like John Prine, right? Because most of the public doesn't know John Prine, but Bonnie Raitt does Angel from Montgomery, and it shines a light on John, and that's always a good thing. So there's a lot. Music should, if you're not an obsessive like you or I, music should just be put the needle on and listen to it and enjoy it. But with covers, there's so many other elements, I think that come to it as well. So,
before we get into some of the bigger covers, how did you feel about the Live and Let Die cover from Guns N' Roses in the early 90s?
Yeah. So I know since our pal Matt Sorum doesn't listen, I'm not a big GNR fan. I'm one of those people that if I never hear Axl Rose sing again, I'll be okay. Now but that shows how influential the vocals can be on something. I mean, Slash can rip it up, and Matt's great, and Izzy Stradlin was a hell of a guitar player, and Duff they were a great band, but I don't need to hear Axl's nasally singing and him dancing like Davy Jones from the Monkees. I just don't need it. So, that's one I wouldn't have done, because as you could tell, even if I was one of the most talented, I wouldn't cover the Beatles unless I was told to do it by Ringo and Paul, but not me. What do you think of it?
It's an example of a cover I don't like, just because the music was very, minus the vocals, the music was very similar to the original version. So it's one of those where I guess it brought the song to maybe a population that never have heard it, but it was already a pretty big song, and musically it sounded a lot like the original. So I didn't really see the point of doing that song at that time.
But it did help a struggling songwriter out by them covering it. So
I sense the sarcasm.
Yeah. Sorry. Is that what you'll insert it in writing down below? Sarcasm. Yeah. No, and that's a combination that broke two of my rules. I don't like Guns N' Roses, and you don't cover the Beatles unless you're going to really, mix it up. So.
Now, talking about the Beatles covered a lot of songs early in their career, including one that I wanted to bring up, being Twist and Shout, which another topic to bring up with cover songs is sometimes people don't realize they're cover songs, forever. Right. Twist and Shout was one of those songs that took me a long time to realize that wasn't a Beatles song. Huge fan of that song as a kid, and then it was kind of blown away to find out it wasn't written by the Beatles.
The Isley Brothers, I believe, if I remember correctly. Wasn't it Ronnie Isley? I think so. They did Shout.
It's like the top notes.
Okay, then I don't know who. So Isley's must have done Shout. At my age, if I get one of the three words in the title right, I call it a win. So, but see, that's actually, I was going to mention something too. You brought up, it was a different time in the 60s too. First of all, the Beatles were the first guys to, write and perform their own stuff. And at that point, they're putting out 2 and 3 albums a year. Those first, 62, 63, 64. And they had to do that. But the other thing that's really interesting is, you talked about sometimes it's years, decades later. The reverse was true in the 60s with Motown. Berry Gordy had everybody doing, because he owned all the publishing, right? So you heard it through the grapevine. So you get Marvin Gaye to do a version, and you get Gladys to do a version. You get the Temps to do a version. Because it made their records familiar to, right? Oh, I know that song. Oh, I know that song, right? And Berry had all the publishing. So there was a time when you would literally be rushing to get yours out the door before somebody else did. I remember there was a deal with Paul Revere and the Raiders and the Kingsmen. Both were recording Louie Louie the same week in the same studio. And it was like this rush. So, there's a lot of that too. So that's the other thing that evolves and changes. It's a difference, I think, if you're a big band looking to do a cover or it's really fascinating, and how the change of the music is involved. evolved, but the Beatles released that live from the BBC, which they were doing the BBC sessions every other week back in the early days, and they were, covering Besame Mucho and all these just classic, Paul 1940s kind of songs. So yeah, I think they had to be able to keep putting out an album every 6 months. So
their covers were great. The Beatles' early covers were really, really good.
I fluctuate between whether John Lennon or Levi Stubbs was the greatest singer ever in rock and roll. I've had other people say Van Morrison, but I think Van Morrison's a doorknob, and that's a whole other thing. I hope you're not listening, Van. Sorry. But Lennon is in that category of could sing the phone book and do it well. There's just, yeah. So, but again, I think we all might know that Mike's a bit of a Beatles snob, so that's nothing new. But yeah, and John was the one singing all those Motown songs, right? You really got a hold on me and Money, and Paul was doing the Little Richards and those kind of things. They each had their lane, and John, man, he rode that Motown lane like a pro, like a frickin' pro. He was great.
I believe a Joey Song alumni, Dave Perner, contributed to the Backbeat soundtrack, which I think he was talking music biopics last time.
Yeah, and Joey Song adjacent, Mike Mills, I think, was in Backbeat too, if I remember correctly, with Greg Dooley from Afghan Wigs. Boy, this is what comes when you don't do any research. You count on my memory. But Mike Mills, on the first Joey Song Kid CD, there's Baseball Project doing Take Me Out to the Ball Game, and that's Mike and Peter from REM on there as well. So we do have a couple tangential cover Beatle-y things going there too. Yep.
Yeah, that soundtrack is really good. I still love the Backbeat soundtrack.
See, but that's a different thing than a band. I mean, pulling together all those big alt indie guys together to do that, and that I got no problem with at all. Because
and I think they wanted it to be like loose and kind of reminiscent of the early
jangly. And yes, absolutely. That kind of breaks both of those rules of a whole album, but for of it and big bands covering it. But that was done with a purpose and a reason, and I got no problem with that, probably because it's a great album too. So.
Well, should we talk about some of specific songs that are largely known? Jimi Hendrix, All Along the Watchtower. I thought that was a Jimmy song forever.
Oh, yeah, you young kids. You kids. That's funny, because that was one of the rules I was going to lay down as we talk about this is there's Dylan covers and then there's everybody else, because, oh God, now I got to remember his name. His agent. Oh, this old age is a terrible, terrible thing. Literally, it would have Bob go and record like the basement. The basement tapes. Do I need to do a primer on the basement tapes?
Yep.
So the basement tapes that he did with the band, he never got around to recording half of those, right? Until the basement tapes came out. Grossman. Doesn't matter. See, this is the other thing that happens when you get old. You put in details that nobody cares about. His last name was Grossman. He was Dylan's. Would take those tapes and shop them around, and half of those things that now appeared on the box set that came, I Shall Be Released, and all these other songs, Mighty Quinn, all these things. So Dylan, there's got to be 700 covers of his songs, and half of the songs were not songs that he ever even released until after the fact on bootleg series. So, which is good because sometimes people did a better job with Bob than Bob did with Bob, if you like my humble opinion on it. But he was always a better songwriter than performer anyway, in my opinion. Yeah. And then Hendrix, that's just taking a song and exploding it, into every nook and cranny of it that Bob hid away. That was the perfect marriage of artist, time, and song, into it. Yeah, I think on most lists it's listed as the greatest cover ever, and it's really hard to argue with that because
like you said, it checked all the boxes for sure.
Yeah, and it was perfect.
One of those
for
songs. Every Vietnam movie, you've got to put Jimi Hendrix's All Along the Watchtower in there.
Somewhere in that, yes, along with For What It's Worth by Buffalo Springfield and Fortunate Son by Creedence Clearwater. Then you've got all of the Vietnam songs in there. So one of the things was I was pulling together my list. I've got them here. And writing some of this down, just everybody that says I don't prepare. Well, I wrote stuff on a 3x5 card. So there you go. As I looked at the ones that made my list, so I have 5 on my list, five of the best covers ever. Now they're all by major artists covering other people. There's a whole nother category as I went through some of these, did some research online. There's obscure bands that really kick what on doing big song. They take like an alt indie band takes a folk song and does it, but I would have been disingenuous if I had said somehow, oh yes, the Blake Babies covered so and so. I don't know. So mine are all from basically a time, the 70s and 80s, but these are songs that I feel like each one of them, they recreated a classic song. So that's my list. So that's the criteria that I use. Did you have a set of things in your mind when you were pulling your list together?
Yeah, I grabbed a lot of songs that were Joey song tied in.
Oh,
just because,
man, you're good.
Close to that.
Let me get that. Let me get that check to you.
but also, looked at the list of the top covers just to pull out ones that I thought were interesting. And so, we can talk about it however you want. We can go through them. And
you go. We'll just talk about these until we run out of energy, and we can explain why they made your list. So what's one on your list that you really want to talk about?
I want to talk about "Hurt" by Johnny Cash. That's a cover I do not like, and that's an unpopular opinion, probably. And I shouldn't say I don't like it, but that's a song that I like the original version better from Nine Inch Nails. And I know a lot of people that love Johnny Cash's version more. Yeah, Nine Inch Nails.
I don't know that, actually you make a really good point. I don't know if I love the version so much as I love everything that goes into it, where he was in his life, and the fact that he did those Rick Rubin sessions. And, if you had told somebody, yeah, Johnny Cash is going to cover, Trent Reznor. Oh, yeah, sure he is. Yeah, sure he will. He's right up. Yeah. And who's Merle Haggard going to cover? Marilyn Manson? So yeah, that's a good point. I don't know if I'd ever sit down and go, hey, I got to listen to Hurt again. But I think everything about that intergenerational thing, and, that John was in the last years of his life. And it does, the one thing about it that works for me is it does fit Johnny's style, right? From subject matter. And he didn't try to do, Rick Rubin didn't try to do anything that didn't fit his thing. So I'm with you on it. I don't know if I'm a huge fan of it, but I sure like the story that goes with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's one from your list?
Well, there's so many on here. I think this is my favorite cover, and it's Joe Cocker doing The Letter by the Box Tops. Because, and it's actually kind of Joey song adjacent. We closed with a little help from my friends, the Joe Cocker version 2 years ago. So that was, I love Joe Cocker. I got a chance to meet him. He played headliners when I was there, and it was when he was finally sober, but it was still in the last few years of his life. Anyway, that I like the Box Tops version. I like, Alex's version of it, but even though I know it's a cover, it's his song. It's that whole Mad Dogs and Englishmen tour that comes from, and he just owns that song. I don't know any other way to say it. He gets inside of it, and the delivery and the subject matter, right? The break of the Dear John kind of stuff, angle of it, and the angst in his voice, just perfection. That is perfection on vinyl in my mind.
Yeah, and I agree with you with the Joe Cocker comments, but also that he did the same thing with A Little Help from My Friends. I feel like he owned that song too. But
there are artists that are interpreters, and Joe Cocker was an interpreter. Linda Ronstadt was an interpreter, right? She would take Elvis Costello stuff or Warren Zevon stuff or the Nelson Riddle or so there are some people that's their lane, and that was Joe Cocker's lane. That was, speed it up, slow it down, rough it up, take the edges off. Yeah, that just masterpiece.
How was it meeting Joe Cocker? A little nerve-wracking?
Well, it was. So it would have been, I think, 1983. So I would have been, 22 years old. And he had a reputation. I think he was sober at the time. Again, I'm also at the point where I'm misremembering stuff. But I know he had a reputation of being a little volatile. But by then he was just a sweet, sweet man. And, I shook his hand and stayed out of his way because I was an employee at the club, and the last thing you're going to be doing is fawning over. I did the same thing. I met Nick Lowe and I had my 8 seconds because, there's a Mount Rushmore and Nick's on it. And I was like, hey, you're great. And I, ran away because I was afraid I'd, become alien and get inside and come out at him. But it was great. It just to meet those guys, even if it's for a second, and just be able to say you're amazing. There's something really great about that to a music dork. So, yeah, love Joe.
That's pretty cool.
Love Joe. And the fact that he let Belushi do what he did on Saturday Night Live. Have you ever seen that where Belushi, Joe had that kind of style, and Belushi, not many people would think about some of the thin-skinned folks today, and we need more Joe Cockers. So, all right, what's next on your list?
I've got the Bangles' "Hazy Shade of Winter," which I knew that one pretty quickly was a cover, but I really think the Bangles version is superior. And there's another band that I forget the name. In the last few years, they covered the song as well in the style of the Bangles, but it sounds musically a lot like the Bangles version. So I instantly hated it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's really funny for being a band that we both agree should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Their biggest songs are all covers. they were great songwriters because Egyptian's true. A cover. And Monday's a cover, and that's a cover, and my favorite song, as we all know, on Different Light, is "Return Post," written and performed by the wonderful Vicki Peterson. But "If She Knew What She Wants" was a Jewel Shear song. They're another good interpretive band. Even going down to Liverpool. Now that you've got me getting me thinking it doesn't happen very often, but in this case, because going down to Liverpool and Debbie Peterson. Our friend Debbie Peterson on lead vocals crushed that. So maybe we need to maybe Mike needs to rethink the fact that there was another strength that the Bangles had, which was great interpreters of other people's songs. Yeah. Yeah. And they rock that one up. It's great.
Yeah. So the newest version, I see it's Jared Way, who was in, they sing My Chemical Romance. He's a singer for My Chemical Romance. So he covered the "Hazy Shade of Winter," and the guitars sound like the Bangles version. It's not bad, but it's already been done.
Yeah. Bring something new. Bring something new to the table, fella. Yep. All right. Mine, I realized that I've got a couple that didn't make my list that are going to go on my honorable mention. But here's another one that I guarantee you, and most of the people, when this was a big hit, had no idea. Talking Heads, "Take Me to the River." Right? Because that's Al Green. And they made that song their own as well. And it does justice and honor to the song. It fits. It's only because David Byrne wasn't writing songs when it was written that he didn't write that, because that, all the quirkiness of that is him. And it takes guts to cover Al Green, because that's one of the all-time great vocalists as well. But when you turn it into that kind of that gitchy, hitchy, Talking Heads style, you can get away with it and do it perfectly. So that's another one, kind of like you were talking about with some of the other ones. It's like people wouldn't know that certainly didn't know it in '77 that was a cover. Only the insiders, I would think. Maybe the kids bopping at CBGBs did know that it was a cover, but I don't think so.
This is embarrassing to admit, Mike, but about a month ago, I was talking to my wife, and I said, we're watching something about the Talking Heads, and I said, they're the ones that wrote "Take Me to the River."
Oh, my goodness.
Fish. She's like, "Oh, that's a Talking Heads." I'm like, "Yeah, the Billy Bass Fish, that's a Talking Heads." And then the next day, I looked it up and realized that that was a cover. I have not yet gone back to cover my tracks and correct the information. I'll just wait until. I mean, I might never have to correct it, so we'll just
no, because I assume your wife's got taste and isn't listening to this, so we should be okay on that, right? I would assume she seems really
safe.
She's pretty smart and doesn't have a lot of free time. Well, and we know it's not necessarily a Joey song connection, but we know there's a Wisconsin connection with the Heads. Correct? Do you know what that is?
I should,
Jerry Harrison is from Milwaukee.
Oh, yeah, I did not know that.
Yep, there you go.
I did not know that.
See? So, all right, yes, Talking Heads, "Take Me to the River." Another example, very much like Cocker and the Letter, taking a really great song in its original version and making it your own. So that's on my list. What do you got?
The song is "Tainted Love." Soft Cell, I thought was the original version forever, and then found out it was a cover.
Yeah.
I don't think I've heard the original song, but I don't know if it's got that.
But not in that 80s keyboardy thing. Well, the thing about that song is they then took and melded that to the end with "Baby, where did our love go?" So they just took two covers and made them their own. Again, which is really strange because Mark Allman was a really great songwriter. Sometimes you scratch your head as these people that end up having great songwriting careers, and that's just an earworm. That's just an annoying ear. I love the song. I love everything about it, but once it gets in, you can't get it out of there. Which, of course, as soon as we stop now, I'm going to have to play it just to get it out of my head. So that's a good one. It's a good one.
Take a quick break.
Yeah, now would be a really good time to do that, so I can go listen to "Tainted Love." Get it out of my head. Yeah. Anyway, folks, we will be back after this short break, and we're going to talk about a couple that I think you would go, I didn't see that one coming, at least from my list, and I got a feeling from Andy's list too. So stick around. This is Liner Notes. I am Mike Gamal, and the fellow over there is learning more about the Talking Heads is
Andy McNamara.
We'll be original by the Talking Heads. Oh my God.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Well, it is what it is. There's nothing. Once the toothpaste is out of the tube, there's nothing you can do about it. So, all right. We'll be right back, everybody. Baby. Oh, anyway, hey, we're back, everybody. It's still in my head, unfortunately. So, Andy, I will be blaming you, or actually, my family will be blaming you as I walk around the house singing "Tainted Love." So that's on you, brother. Yeah. The dogs will probably be the ones that have the biggest problem with it. All right, let's move on. They don't know how to
use a phone, I don't think, right?
Oh, you'd be surprised. If their dog dish isn't filled up in the morning, I get texts from them going, yeah, that's a way to do it. All right, although you did the last time, I'm going to go right back to you. What's next on your list?
All right, now this one is a Joey song tie-in.
Okay,
so I think that's good. It's Because of the Night, which the first time I heard that, it was 10,000 Maniacs. However, after that, it was covered by Garbage and the Screaming Females. Of course, both tie-in with Joey's song. Now, the Garbage Screaming Females cover was a Record Store Day release. It's not bad. Yeah. It's a little more aggressive than the Natalie Merchant version.
Slightly.
And yeah, still good. But I think that's one of those songs that now for 3 generations, it had a life through 3 generations somewhat, which how do you feel about those songs?
I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm gonna. So who is the songwriter of Because the Night?
I knew that was coming, and I was going to quickly try to Google it, but in all fairness, I'd like to say Carly Simon, but I'm not sure. It's probably not, is it?
No, so the version most people knew was Patti Smith recorded it, right? Patti Smith group.
Patti Smith. That's actually what I thought.
But she didn't write it. Bruce Springsteen is the author of Because the Night.
I did hear that, and I did know that. It all just came back to me. I swear I knew that at one time.
Yeah, and that kills in his. She does it in his shows, and it just kills. Yeah, it's a great song, and that Patti Smith version is another example of somebody. The reason everybody thinks it's her song, besides Bruce never released it until after she did, is the vicious circle turn. She owns that. Also, just fits her, everything about her, right? It's got a very Horses, that album by her, kind of feel to it. So yeah, that's a great choice because it is another example of an artist just. In Natalie's version is fine, and BV and Shirley's version is fine, but that's one where Patti owns it. That's great.
So when you hear that song, you think of Patti Smith, her version.
I think of Patti, yeah, because that was the one that was playing on the radio. I don't know when it was, 80 something or other, 84, 85 kind of thing. But Springsteen's another one in that Dylan category where a lot of people had hits with their songs as well. That's not the only one as well. But yes, that's one that Bruce wrote. So well, then that's a perfect straight man, because my next cover is a cover that Bruce Springsteen did and recorded it, and it was on the USA for Africa album, and it was Trapped. Which, are you familiar with Trapped?
I'm not.
I'm not going to sing it for you. Okay. Well, there's part of your
homework. Give me a couple bars, Mike. Okay.
No, God, no. God, no. The only reason I'm not going to is I do have a friend who is Bruce Springsteen adjacent, and I know he listens to this podcast, and I don't want to ever get back to Bruce that I tried to sing any of his
Give him something to be excited about, Mike. Give him something he's not expecting. Here you sing a couple bars of Trapped.
Bruce's day will be made that some jamoke in Wisconsin was trying to sing Trapped a cappella on a podcast. So it's a Jimmy Cliff song. So Jimmy Cliff, reggae legend, wrote it, and it's a live version. So USA for Africa, what that was, right? That was the charity thing, and kind of our response to Band-Aid. And they put out a whole album and had people donate songs to it. And Springsteen donated a live version of Trapped. And it's got, I'm going to stretch the analogy to its breaking point, but it's got a Pixies feel to it, not in the instrumentation, but in the soft, loud kind of stuff. So when I go after this and have to listen to Tainted Love for the third time, your homework, Andy, will be to go listen to Springsteen Trapped. And it's a great song. And it's about a guy being trapped in a relationship and he can't get out of. And again, this was 80s when, Bruce was still in the glory days and the relationship songs and all that. And it fit. That was, in my mind, it's an example of an artist picking a cover that you could believe that they wrote because it just fits so well. And while, Jimmy Cliff is not an unknown, that was another example of a major rock star taking and elevating a songwriter that more people needed to know about, because, unless you had seen The Harder They Come and had that soundtrack in your record, you probably didn't know Jimmy Cliff.
I've heard
from Adam. Yeah. It's great. So I hope there's a few baby boomers that are listening to this that are going, yeah, it's great. It's a great song. So Bruce Springsteen, Trapped, classic. What do you got next?
Right. Got another Joey song tie-in. This one you probably have on your list. Well, I would be surprised if this wasn't on your list. Mad World by Tears for Fears. Obviously, that one is more known for the cover.
Yeah. Who is the? Yeah, I only know it as the Tears for Fears, but I saw that on a list. Who was the cover by?
Gary Jules and Michael Andrews.
Yes.
It's got more of a, and that's actually the first version I heard. And then I went back and listened to the Tears for Fears version, and it is a different feel. But I believe a Joey song, Kurt and his daughter did a version of, kind of a version of the cover, I thought. It sounded more like the cover version than the original.
Yeah. And I barely know the cover. I only know the Tears version of it. And that knocked it out. That's such a great song. Good call. Yeah. I must have been, when would that have come out? Do you have it in front of you when Gary Jules released it? Roughly?
I don't, but I can
probably
check.
Would have been when I was starting to go in my curmudgeon phase of, there's no good new music anymore. I'm not listening. That's probably why I missed it. So,
which is totally okay to feel that way, by the way.
Yeah, it was my version of a midlife crisis. I didn't buy a red sports car, cheat on my wife. So I decided that there was no good music. So
It's 2001 was when that version came out.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, I was squarely in the, no good music was made after 92 at that point in my life. Yeah, that would explain a lot of it. Okay. Now we're going to, I don't know how I feel about this next one, but I'm going to say it, and I'm going to let the backlash come as it may. I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston.
Yes.
You know who wrote that one? See, this is cruel of me to do this to you. This really is actually, I'm being a real jerk.
I know Dolly Parton wrote that one.
Yeah.
And her version, I like Whitney Houston's version more. I don't know if you're the same. It's more energetic.
Yeah. I just don't. There's a difference in an artist like Whitney. I'm sure Whitney didn't pick that song. I'm sure that song was picked for her. And, where all these other ones we talked about, but, it feels more organic and you can see the artist going, oh yeah, I got to do that one. Or, all these that we've mentioned. That one, I just assume that, but she kills it. I mean, she kills it. She squeezes every bit of emotion out of that song, and you can see, I don't want to say the hurt, but you can feel all of it in it. And that's the beauty of taking that. And even though it's overproduced and, all that, well, first of all, she had an amazing voice. That was not studio tricks with her. That was, she did that on all of her songs. So yeah, I when I say I don't know how I feel about it, because none of these other ones were big top 40. Hey, here, in the morning zoo with, Staple Gun and Chad, playing all the wacky hits in the morning zoo. We don't have those, but yeah, that's a great song. Great song.
I can piggyback off that one and throw in Without You. And this wasn't on my list, but it makes me think of it. Mariah Carey, I believe, had a cover of Without You, which was originally recorded by Badfinger.
But not written by Badfinger. Yes, but not written by Badfinger.
Oh, again, I get hit with this again. Do you know who originally wrote it?
Yeah, Harry Nilsson.
Oh,
who wrote Me and My Arrow.
Yeah. It's a name I know. I didn't know he wrote that.
Yep. Yeah. See, it has to be annoying to be with me because I can't tell you any pertinent facts about life, but I can immediately go when you say Without You, going, oh, I'm going to get him on Harry Nilsson wrote that. Yeah.
Well, the good thing about hanging out with you, Mike, is that I can let that roll downhill and do it to somebody else.
That's a good strategy. I did not know that Mariah Carey wrote that or recorded that. It has to be awful. It has to be.
I'd have to go give it another listen.
No? All right. I'll take your word for it.
I'm going to, I'm going to add that. There should be a show where we just give each other some songs to listen to and then come back.
Yeah, and then come back next week. The only reason I say it has to be awful is because that's a song that needs to be sung by somebody that convinces you they've been stepped on, right? I mean,
she might have been stepped on a little bit.
Really? Okay. All right.
Didn't she have a lot of husbands? I'm just.
Yeah. You're outside of my area of expertise with Mariah Carey. I know she's got an amazing voice, and I know that's not studio tricks, right? Doesn't she have like a 5-octave range or some Freddie Mercury
pretty impressive
range? Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm gonna take a step back because I was going to say out of something else, but I'll say I was talking out of my hat on that one. I don't think I've ever heard it. So before I dismiss it, maybe it's a good one. But yes, Badfinger and then Harry Nilsson wrote that. But that was one of those where those two songs came out right around the same time. So.
Yeah, it looks like Mariah Carey's came out in 1994.
Yeah. Well, I will give it a listen. I promise.
I'm not saying it's good, Mike.
No, I got it. All right. So before I do my last one, I wanted to do a quick honorable mention for a band that most people don't think about as a covers band, but they did 2 of the best Motown covers ever. And they took 2 really great songs, 2 Temptations songs, and did them. And that's the Rolling Stones. So the Rolling Stones did a version of Just My Imagination. I think it was on Some Girls. And then they also did a version of Ain't Too Proud to Beg, which I think was on It's Only Rock and Roll. I don't remember. I should have done more of my homework. But those two they don't do them like, obviously, because, Mick can't sing like Eddie Kendricks or David Ruffin, but they stones them up. And like I said, most people think of others covering the Stones. And this was after they were established. This wasn't Beatle-y, where they're doing it on their first two records when they'd only written, the last time or whatever else. And just great. So this is also on for all three of you listening to this, you need to go and track down the Stones covers of those two songs, because I don't know if you're familiar with either one of those, Andy. Those would have been pre-nursery for you. So, but they're just phenomenal. Which, again, if you think about what we said earlier about the Beatles and Lennon and all of his Motown things, and then you can see we could do a 10-part miniseries on Motown because of the influence, the amazing stuff that came out. Have you ever been to Hitsville in Detroit?
Yes, loved it.
Yeah, it was great.
I'm assuming you have as well. I think you've hit pretty much every
times.
spot.
Did you sing My Girl in the recording thing with the guy?
No.
That's how every tour I've ever taken ends. So
we might have. My son was with, and he was like 1.5, and he was crying.
Oh,
and, so it was like the whole not wanting to interrupt. I think my wife ended up taking him out of the garage studio.
Okay. All right, I got you. Yeah,
it was so cool to see it, though.
Oh, yeah. And to me, it was the little things like the nail where you can see the picture of David Ruffin's coat hanging on. I'm sure it's not the nail, but that's amazing stuff.
During your tour, did they talk about how Stevie Wonder could hear what candy bar was being chosen by what they were entering?
Unbelievable stuff. Great stuff. So anyway, that's my honorable mention before I do the last one. And this last one for me has a Joey song tie-in only because we did it at the benefit a couple years ago after Sinead passed away. And that Sinead O'Connor's Nothing Compares to You, which, again, for a lot of people, you would just assume it was hers. But we all know that His Royal Badness Prince wrote that song. And her cover is actually, have you heard the Prince version of it? Have you heard his? It's not that far off. She doesn't really change it up a lot, which, if you're smart, like the Bangles, you don't mess with what Prince came up with. But that's another one. First of all, it's that single shot video. I mean, the video is headshot for the entire song with no cuts, no edits. And if you're not crying at the end of that, then you've got no soul. I mean, that's just
it's a great cover.
She sells that in such a way. And then when you, again, kind of similar to, some of the other stuff, when you understand the story behind it, like with Hurt and all these others, when you understand, the life that she ended up living, I have no trouble believing that emotion was real, and it's great.
That was a great cover at Joey's song as well. I believe that was Corey Chisel and Sierra Swan.
Yeah. Speaking of somebody that could sing the phone book, Sierra could sing the phone book, and you'd ask if she. Oh, unbelievable, unbelievable! She's just amazing. And I do have. It's more of a Mike Gamal tie-in and not a Joey song tie-in. So a real good friend of mine is a session drummer called Ash Sohn. Ash is from the UK, and he's the drummer on The Voice, and he's done Tori Amos tours and Robbie Williams and all the, but he toured with Sinead for quite a while as well. And he has really nice things to say about her too. So he said she was really cool. So what do you think of Nothing Compares to You?
I like it. Prince's version, I'm not a huge fan of all the synth. He's got a lot of synthesizers on it, and it seems like the changes the chords are more harsh. I think when he's more like he's hitting them harder. And Sinead, she made that her own, and I love that cover.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that, because now that I think about it, Prince is almost like a middle finger version of pain, right? Like I can go to fancy restaurant, I can do whatever I want kind of stuff.
Mhm.
There's a sneer to that a little bit, even though it's more bravado, where Sinead's is just an open wound. Just an open wound. There's no bravado in any of her thing, where Prince is kind of like, he goes back and forth between, I'm really hurt, but I'm doing just great.
Yep.
And both with the instrumentation and his delivery. So, yeah. What's on your list?
I've got one last one here for you. It's another Joey song tie-in. It's an obscure one. Somewhat obscure. I don't know if you've heard the cover. Soul Asylum did a cover of a Descendants song called Hope on Let Your Dim Lights Shine. Of course, Let Your Dim Lights Shine
Fig.
was Butch Vig.
Produced. Yep.
And are you familiar with the Descendants? They are a punk band from the early 80s, I think they formed.
Yep. I was with somebody, when I was doing the obscure reference for Mike for 400, I do a radio thing on Friday mornings with Ebo here in Madison, and Ebo was wearing a Descendants shirt on Friday when we record. So not that matters to anybody, but yes, I'm familiar with the Descendants.
Your homework, Mike, is to check out Soul Asylum's cover of Hope. It's I think they do it justice. It still has the intensity of the original, except it's recorded better. Which is easy when you've got Butch Vig doing the recording.
Yes. Now, I've got a couple other ones I scribbled down here that weren't in my top 5. Were there any ones that you had wanted to? Because we got a couple minutes left before we got to cash this in.
Let's hear what you got.
All right. So I did go down the Dylan wormhole, because you have to. And I immediately put off All Along the Watchtower because it's so great. It's like almost too great. It's like, who's the greatest basketball player after Michael Jordan kind of conversation. And sorry for all you Kobe and LeBron guys, but Mike's the GOAT. And I took off Quinn the Eskimo because Manfred Mann's version of it, even if you listen to Dylan's version, it doesn't sound like the same song. So those are a couple things. But there were some really great covers. The Byrds, obviously, Mr. Tambourine Man, was a breakthrough for both them. And I think it was one of the first truly great Dylan covers. But again, very different. And then the other one, and I couldn't decide, there's 2 by the band, I Shall Be Released or When I Paint My Masterpiece, which were both on the songs from Big Pink, which, were the Basement Tapes kind of stuff. I'm a big band guy. I don't know if you've dug into the band catalog or not, but you should. I mean, Rick Danko, Levon Helm, Robbie Robertson, all those guys, again, just created a whole sound that was amazing. And there's a reason why they were Dylan's backup band forever and ever, because they were perfect. They were the ones when Dylan went electric at Royal Albert Hall and, all the Judas stuff. For you kids at home, if you don't know that story, you need to look that one up too. They fit perfectly in his style. And so that's why those covers fit so well. And I think if I have to go for it, I'd go with When I Paint My Masterpiece as their best version of a Dylan song. But, that was back in the day when your contemporaries would record your song, right? The Byrds and the band were, contemporaries of Dylan. They were not equals, because there's very few that are or were equals. But those are all really great too. And for a lot of people, covers are the only way they can consume Dylan, because sometimes his delivery and his instrumentation isn't always for normal human ears. It's for a lot of people, Dylan's an acquired taste. But these covers really, when you listen to those songs, you realize what a truly phenomenal lyricist he was. And so those were a couple that made my list of great covers. But like I said, when we started this off, I took Dylan off because I swear everybody's done a Dylan cover. I think you and I are recording one next week. I'm not sure, but
that's news to me, but I appreciate the heads up on that, Mike. I'll start getting my voice ready.
Yeah.
Unless I'm playing guitar and you're singing.
Or not getting your voice ready. That would be another way to do it.
Really, we could talk for hours. as when you brought up the band, I thought of covers from the 90s, early 90s, like Tesla doing Signs, the Black Crowes doing Hard to Handle. I mean, there's just so many that the more you think about it, the more you think of. So it's
right. But that's actually a good one. We should put that down on the list, is talk about decades of covers as well, because because for as much abuse as the mid 80s to the mid 90s get with the new wave and the MTV covers, that's another example of bands taking songs that were written in one genre or motif and really making them their own. You can talk about all you want about, everything was processed and synthesized in both synthesizer and digitized way, but that shows the lineage, right? That this leads to that, leads to this, and there was, and let's not forget Bananarama doing Venus.
Oh, yeah, I mean, we should do decades sometime.
Yeah. Well, this was a great topic, Andy. This was really great. And any chance I get to be an obnoxious, know-it-all, whatever, gadfly, like, well, I know who wrote, next time we'll talk about, well, do you know who produced that record, Andy? No, I won't do that to you. But this is the kind of topic that really makes all of my annoying characteristics come out in extra loud versions of it. So I thank you for that.
Thank you for the knowledge as always, Mike, and I always appreciate talking music with you.
Well, we'll see how long that lasts where you enjoy it. You'll probably keep doing it, but enjoys doing a lot of heavy lifting in that sentence. All right, everybody, that was Liner Notes, a great topic by Andy McNamara. And your homework is to go check out Trapped, and I got to go check out Hope, and we're going to listen to Tainted Love a couple times, and there's many more on here.
Mariah Carey doing
yeah, boy, I actually going to do that one first, because that one, I don't know. We'll just have to leave it at that.
Your new favorite song.
It could end up being that way. That would really say something. I'd have Nori get a reservation at the home for me. If you do have covers, those of you 3 people that are listening to this, if you want to go to the Joey Song Facebook pages or that and make some comments on other stuff as well, covers that we missed or things that we got wrong, you're always welcome to comment, or other topics. Joey Song on Facebook, all the social medias. There is a Joey Song podcast Facebook page, and that's getting kind of confusing. I may have to clean that up a little bit, but go to one of those places and let us know what you think about what we talked about and what our topics are. And as always, please go and subscribe and like and follow. Again, depending on whatever your service provider uses, that helps other people find this podcast, and that helps them find Joey Song, and that helps us raise more money to fight epilepsy, which is the reason why Andy puts himself through this every week. So thanks, Andy.
Thanks, Mike.
All right. See everybody. JoeySong.org. And, Mariah Carey without, boy, I don't know. We'll see. See ya. Hey, thanks for sticking around all the way to the end of the podcast. A quick reminder, if you can give us a follow or subscribe on your favorite podcast provider and write a short review, it will really help us out. If you can head over to YouTube and subscribe to our channel over there, that's another big help. These simple acts make it easier for others to find us. And of course, head over to joeysong.org to join our community and stay up to date on all the news. Thanks, and we'll talk again real soon.
Learn more about Joey Song by visiting joeysong.org. The theme music was composed by Sam Gamal, and Joey Song is a federally registered 501c3 charity. Thanks for listening.